And we are back with the 2% podcast. I'm your host, Kiambu, and I'm here with my boy,
Corbin.
We here. We got a GOAT with us today, a fellow Vandy alum, Simone Charley, pro soccer player with Angel City FC, and happy you're here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And so we're going to get right into it. So the 2%, we talk about the journey and how we get to our destination of college and you with a professional soccer player. And so kind of walk us through, your journey to Vanderbilt in terms of recruitment and like how does that work out with like high school soccer and going to the next level?
Yeah. So I kind of had a different journey to playing in college. So I don't know how much you guys know about soccer, but like they start recruiting like fresh out the womb, like super early. Like people commit in like 8th, 9th grade.
Okay.
And so like for me, I wasn't like highly recruited coming out of middle school. And so I was playing with, it's called ECNL team, but that's just like essentially like a college showcase team, a team where like colleges will come and like watch you play. There's only one in Alabama, and I wasn't really playing much, wasn't getting much playing time. And so by the end of my like freshman year of high school, I just stopped playing for them and just started playing high school soccer. Was really close with my high school coach and someone that I like still have a relationship with to this day. But yeah, so for me, I just like was playing high school soccer and ended up trying out for, it's called ODP, but it's essentially like, it's called the Olympic Development Program, but they bring all these people from like the different regions to come and try out for the team, and a lot of colleges come. And so for me, it was like, this is my shot. This is my opportunity to like try to make it. This was like my sophomore year of high school. Tried out for the team, didn't make it.
That's cool.
So, long story short, my junior year of high school, I pretty much kind of given up on my dream of playing in college.
Really?
Yeah. And so just because, like I said, at this point, like everyone,
if you ain't committed by
if
now,
you aren't committed by now, there's like nothing left.
Yeah. It's like a hard, because like with baseball, like I did prep school year, and that's when I technically committed to Vanderbilt. So after I graduated high school and did a postgraduate year, but like usually baseball, people start getting offers around 9th grade, 10th grade year, and they mainly commit sophomore, junior year.
Okay.
Senior, you late in the ball game.
Yeah.
Like, it's late, but it's not like. It's not like a done deal, but it's slim. It's rare for it to happen, your last year. And so is it the same way with soccer?
100%.
Yeah.
Like most folks are committed like I said, 8th, 9th grade, 10th grade, you're like late. And so for me to be a junior with like no offers, nothing, was just kind of like there's not really much going for you.
Was it a situation where you were like a late bloomer, or was it like I'm better than all these girls around me, and y'all not recognizing you? Like talk your shit, like say it. Like if it's like that, it's like that, Like was it something like that? Like how can they not recognize I'm faster than all these girls? I'm more athletic, agile, my footwork go crazy, Like what's going on?
I would say a mix. I think in the beginning, one thing I struggled with like early in my career was confidence in myself, and so I think that affected a lot of how I played, and just second guessing myself, not playing free. And so I think then obviously when I'm not getting offers and not getting these opportunities, then it's like back to the drawing board. Mental, but also like back to the drawing board of like, all right, well, I need to get better, and I have to like put that work in and stay after practice, do the extra and all of that. And I feel like for me, that's where my confidence came from, was all the extra work that I put in. And so then for me, I think as I got older, then it was like, no, I can do this because I did 100 reps of this already. Yeah. And so, I think for me, that's kind of how that happened.
That's a bar, by the way. That's a bar, And even like other people that we've interviewed, they pretty much said the same thing in terms of like playing your sport and your real athleticism, your real talent comes through when you're free and you're not bogged down, especially in baseball. Like for sure, like you can't be thinking clouded up top because it affects you. You know,
100%.
So it's cool to see that goes across all sports.
Yeah,
kinda, you know, in a way. And so when did Vandy get into the picture? Were there other schools, or was it just Vandy that was out after
no,
you?
so it was just Vandy. So
Vandy.
my junior year, I basically just like did some research, found Vandy, and was like, it's a great school academically.
Yeah.
And just came on a visit, just like a regular visit, and absolutely just like loved the school.
Yeah.
And so I went, visited the soccer coach's office, like knocked on his door. It was like, hey, I play soccer.
Got it out the mud. Okay.
And he was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And so then obviously they can't like offer you a scholarship or anything. But I went back to that high school coach and was like, hey, they have to see me play if I want like an opportunity to play here. And so he found like some random team in Florida that was playing at this like big college showcase. So I went to play for that team at the tournament, emailed Vandy and was like, please come to my game. Like, please, I'll be here. Here's my schedule. Please show up. And they ended up coming. And so, after that, I guess the rest was history, being offered a scholarship after that. But yeah.
That's a story. That's a story.
I wouldn't think that. I would have thought that you had offers from when you came out the womb, like for real. That's
so you really got yourself into Vandy, like pretty much in terms of like you doing the work and you taking steps and knock on the coach's office. Well, like how was that conversation? I know it's awkward and you probably nerve wracking for sure. For sure. You know, but like, hey, I play soccer. Like, do you bring him film, like to show him something? Like, how did that happen?
Well, first, it wasn't me. It was the grace of God that I got into Vandy.
Of course, yeah.
But it was definitely very nerve-wracking because I was like a junior in high school, so I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Just like knocking on his door. The head coach at the time actually was gone, like at a tournament, so it was the two assistant coaches, and they were just kind of like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. But I mean, at that point, I was desperate. Like, I was like, my dream, I wanted to play pro soccer. And the only way that you could do that was playing in college. And so at that point, I was like, I'll do anything. And I visited the school. I loved this school. I could see myself playing here. And so if I have to sit down and have this awkward conversation with you and you don't know who I am, then I'm going to do it because the worst you can say is no. And I already don't have anything already. So
you come from a very athletic family. Both of your siblings played collegiate sports at a high level. Did you feel like there was pressure being a younger one?
That's a great question. I did. I feel like because my parents like made it very clear, to be completely honest, like at a young age, it was just kind of like you are going to figure out how you get to college. Like whether that's athletically, academically, like that's how you're going to college. And the three of us, like my sister, she ran track at Auburn. My brother did track at Troy.
Damn.
And so they were able to like pay for school with athletics. And so it was just like, you either pay for it with soccer, you pay for it with academics, or like there's a community college down the street. That is where you'll be going. And so that was just kind of like, that sounds so, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Is what it was. So, yeah.
Okay. And in terms of soccer, like what are like the big time schools like for soccer, like collegiate soccer? Obviously, baseball is like usually the SEC is usually for baseball. Like, what are like the big schools for soccer to go to?
I would say UNC has a very storied program. They've won like, I want to say like 20 national championships, something crazy. Stanford has been doing really well. UCLA, Florida State.
What about Virginia? They good?
Yeah, UVA is very good as well.
Okay.
So it's like a mix of like some schools from the ACC, some from the Pac-12. The SEC's been on the come up too. So yeah.
I got you. All right. So fast forward, we at Vandy now. You there? And so talk to us, just that first year experience, of collegiate soccer, of the practices, the training sessions, like, did you have like a wake up call? Like, hey, like I'm here, I'm here now, it might have been like a coach got on you, or you got, these girls are good. Did you have like a moment where, like, okay, like I'm ready,
Yeah. I feel like one thing I really appreciated, especially my freshman year, was that our senior class was very welcoming. Like, they weren't cliquey, standoffish. Like, they very much were trying to help you adjust. And I think for me, the hardest part with Vandy, because it's so like challenging academically and on the field in the SEC, it's like just the time management part. I remember my freshman year, it was hard because I felt like all I did was study and go to practice, go to practice, and wasn't able to like actually have the college experience that year or that freshman year. Yeah, because it was just like, all I'm doing is like reading this textbook and then going to training. Yeah. And so repeat. Things like finding friends and like, and then you're on social media and you see all your high school friends, which all of mine like went to Alabama, went to Auburn, like stayed in the state. So they're all different. Yeah, they're all like doing life together, and that part was really hard for me. Of like, I came to this place, I don't know anybody, and I don't have any friends outside of like my teammates, and all I do is study and play soccer. And I feel like for me that was the wake up call. I feel like I lost myself in that semester. Yeah.
Okay. Is there like a team that you guys face that you like will always get up for? But okay, obviously you got the one. You go ahead and say
UT.
it. Yeah, of course.
What you
UT.
mean? Like
I'm gonna say because I think I probably the only time it was tough to like go watch. So we'll go watch you guys. Especially like during the fall, we have like just training sessions, so we'll go watch. But like, I think I've never watched soccer until like I got to college, and that's like no slight. It's not prevalent, at least not where I'm from, so kind of getting to see it for the first time, was very different, it's different, but like it's I would say it's enjoyable to watch, you guys do y'all thing and whatnot. But I guess as far as soccer goes, like how can, just from a viewership standpoint, like how can it get more like prevalent, more, more eyes on it? Because we only hear about soccer like the past 2 months, 3 months, where it's going around like the World Cup and like it's a big deal. But like other than that, you don't really hear about it that much. Yeah. It's not mainstream like that. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think that's like points to like a microcosm of the broader issue in women's sports in general, of just the lack of investment in the marketing side. Okay. Because I think a lot of it, like people are like, oh, you have to like have all these people at the games and prove all these things before we invest in you, instead of like investing, putting the money there and then having people show up. Right. So we're putting like the cart before the horse. And makes so sense. It's like so important that we market women's sports and like people know that there's a game on, or like know who the teams are, know the league.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. And I even think of like, so my experience at Angel City, which has been a pretty cool experience this past year, of like one thing our like club is like prided itself on is like marketing, having people in the community, like putting the team on the map. And like every weekend we'd be selling out like 22,000 people on the weekend. Sheesh. And it's like, but that's lit. Like, no, but that's to show that like you market it, folks will come to games. Yeah. And it's just like that initial investment, I feel like, is what's missing.
No, 100%. I was gonna say, I remember you guys riding around for lacrosse too, like riding around in like the golf carts during like the school hour days, like doing lunch hour and holding up signs and whatnot, trying to get, hey, come to the soccer game, come to the soccer game. And it's like, y'all have to do all that just to get people in the seats. Oh, we got Chick-fil-A. Yeah. We got Chick-fil-A.
Here's some free food.
And it was like, oh, Chick-fil-A, okay, yeah, we there, but like, that's so So do you? Cause I guess I went to like my first soccer game, like professional soccer game this past year, in like August or September, whatever. The Nashville FC, and great experience. First pro soccer. I'm like, how can I've been like? I feel like I've been deprived a little bit. I'm like, it's loud the whole game. They got the drums going, the chants, like. More exciting than a professional baseball game, 1,000%. Like, it's not even close, but it's like, it's crazy that I didn't know that until 26 years old, you know, that it can be that type of experience, you know? And so that goes to just, like you said, the marketing and whatnot. And, like, in terms of kind of transitioning, do you think that influences, you know, the pay and whatnot, like 100%?
100%.
Yeah, because the whole conversation that you hear is mainly around the WNBA. It's what that's the main conversation people here talk about. It's like, oh, well, like what you said, they're bringing like the seats and whatnot, getting people into the seats, and you guys don't have the same viewership as like men's basketball. It's like if you get the same viewership as men's basketball, then the pay would be different, you know? But it's like, is it the same conversation with women's soccer compared to men's soccer, you know? Yeah.
As far as like, I think, like I said, that like initial investment piece has been missing. And I think, honestly, it's just not even a smart business decision, because I think of like growing up as a little girl, like I would have loved to like watch soccer, like watch soccer games, watch women on the field, watch people who are literally me, like older versions of me, like on the field, because, you know, I love sports and I love soccer and I love playing and all of these things. And I think in the same way, like little boys are like socialized to be huge sports fans and sports supporters, like little girls can be the same way, because if you look at like the participation rates of like in youth sports, like girls are participating in sports at the same rate. So like, why do we assume they don't want to watch it on TV? Like, we're just like jumping to that conclusion. And so I feel like if we market it, that's a whole like untapped market that we're not even like tapping into. And like you said, that goes even further into the conversation of compensation, because it's like, people need to be at the games to build revenue so that then players get paid more and things like that. But it's like, how can you come to a game and expect people to come to a game if they didn't even know there was a game, or they didn't know there was a league, or they didn't know there was a team?
I didn't know there was a league.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
Yeah.
And so like, why are we shocked that the stands are empty when people didn't even know it existed?
Yeah, like you touched on the fact that you guys can get 20,000+ people in the stands, you know, sold out is, I shouldn't think that's blasphemous. You know, I shouldn't think that's crazy, you know, but like I think that's a huge feat, you know, that many people, you know. I guess switching gears just a little bit, you know, you being a black soccer player on the college level and on the professional level, okay, that's a feat in itself. How can, like, let's talk about just, you know, diversity in the sport, you know, from kid to middle school to high school. Like, how can it be more diversity in the sport? Like what's your stance on diversity in soccer? And, you know, for you guys.
I would say the biggest issue with like the lack of diversity in soccer has to do with just how expensive it is. Like, soccer is unnecessarily expensive.
Break it down for us.
And not to cut you off, and like, it's just kind of the same thing with baseball. But a lot of people will always say, like, you do look at other sports like basketball, football, soccer, different things like that. Everybody always try to say that the reason more black kids don't play play baseball specifically, is because of the cost of expense. But I'm like, all sports are expensive now. But to hear you say that, it's like, it's crazy. But most people would think you just need a ball.
Yeah,
but that's not true. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, break it down. The expenses.
But it's like, Before I do that, I think you can just look at the bigger picture of soccer. Like soccer in the world, it's like the world's game.
Yeah.
And so like soccer on the global scale is so diverse because you really do honestly just need a ball.
Yeah.
But when you look at the United States, it's literally only in the US that it's like one of the most like the whitest sports.
That's true. It's only a white sport here.
Yeah.
Everywhere else it's
everywhere
not.
else
Yeah.
everyone can play.
Yeah.
And it's because you have things like club fees. So like I said, so back when I was playing, you had what they called like ECNL teams, which are like basically supposed to be the best teams in the country that you try out for, you play for them, and then colleges come to your games because you're playing for one of these teams. But for that reason, like these clubs will charge thousands of dollars just to be a part of it, not including travel to tournaments, not including hotel, none of that. So it could be a couple thousand just to like be on the roster. And then like I live in Alabama. Well, you got to play in the Surf Cup. That's out in California. You got to pay for your hotel. You got to pay for your flight. You got another tournament up in New York. So like you're coming out of pocket thousands of dollars for a single season for one child. Like
That's a lot.
how can
It definitely needs to be a better way.
Are they is there any black owned soccer organization on the youth side, or is it pretty much all white as well?
I would like to think that they exist, but I don't know of any.
Probably not.
I don't know any.
I'm gonna say you just broke that down in terms of let's just
Same.
say for math, say it's $2,000 just to be a part of the club, and then a trip to California, you can't go by yourself. You gotta go with your parents.
That's another two.
So
Right?
that's another
You gotta eat.
that's another $1,000 minimum.
Yeah.
You know, depending on where you're flying from. And then so now we at $3,000, and now we're talking about travel. Once we get there, rental car, gas, and food for 3-4 people that's going. And now we got a tournament across the coast, and now we got to do it all over again.
That's crazy.
That's too much.
And you're
There's
doing
gotta
like
be an easier
three
way.
of those, like at least 3 of those big tournaments, at least a season, and like that doesn't include like your regular season games where you're like traveling to like not flying but like driving, but it's like I'm using gas money to drive to Mississippi, to drive to Florida, to drive to that. So it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, you hope it would be a better way, but it's not like you having a way around it because if you want to be seen, you got to go to those spots if you want to play at the next level. You know, it's like it's kind of similar with baseball. You don't have to, but it's like
You do.
maybe nowadays. Nowadays
you definitely
do because I played in baseball. We have this thing called Perfect Game, like the Perfect Game tournament, which is in Atlanta. It's like the mecca for baseball. Like if anybody was anybody, you go through Perfect Game.
Okay.
But now they have different things now. But like, it's like that's expensive as well. But it's like maybe when I was playing, you didn't have to go through Perfect Game to be seen. You know, luckily, I just went to the camp. You know, and I'm down the street, so I'm just going to Vandy camp, and that's how I got exposed to Vandy. You know, as far as recruiting for a high school athlete who doesn't have any offers, 9th grade year, 10th grade year, and in their junior year, they know they have the talent, they're skilled, they have the confidence, but they're not getting the looks. What do you suggest for that young lady to get exposure? Do they take the route that you took and just go kick the door down? And hey,
I say go kick the door down.
I'm Simone Charley. Like I'm her. Okay, I'm her. Okay, you need to mess with me. Like, what do you say to that young lady?
That's a great question. First things first, just like don't give up on your dream. Like if you gotta go kick the door down, go kick the door down. I would say like as far as like figuring out how to get exposure, like I think, like I said, for me it was like I called my high school coach, was like they have to see me play, and he like was able to just make phone calls and find a team for me. And so I think, the biggest thing is just like not giving up and like doing whatever it is that you have to do, whether that's going and knocking on their door, whether it's going and playing for a random team that you don't even know and just meeting them in Florida. But I think also just like not like, I think everyone's path is different.
Of course.
And I think I hate when people just like think that, oh, I have to go like in soccer, the ECNL route, or I have to play on this top team or play here, play that for people to see me. Because like that might work for some people, but like it's not for everyone. And just because you're not on that team doesn't mean that like you can't play in college or you can't play pro. So
No, that's real. You kind of transition back to college. You were a two-sport athlete, but you were not just a two-sport athlete. You was a two-sport athlete in the SEC at a prestigious academic school like Vanderbilt. Like, talk about that experience playing those two sports at Ivy League school, basically.
yeah, it was challenging to say the least. I feel like for me, it was a lot of like, kind of like I was saying, freshman year, it was a lot of studying and training and just very regimented. And I feel like for me, one thing I really had to like work on was separating my identity of like of who I am from being an athlete, because playing two sports takes up so much of your time. It's easy to just think like being an athlete is all I am and this is what I'm good at, and just doing things that you're good at. And it was like, no, I had to like, I think later on in my college career, like be very purposeful about like figuring out who I am.
Did you ever at a point think about just sticking to one sport while in college?
No, actually.
That's real.
I don't think I ever did, because I loved different things about soccer and track. Like soccer, I just love playing soccer and just the game itself was something that I always enjoyed. And I feel like deep down, I always knew like soccer was the route I wanted to go professionally. But I feel like, honestly, I learned so much more about myself through track, because it is an individual sport and it's literally, it's up to you. Like,
it's on you. Ain't no excuse, on you.
Yeah, it's literally, it's on you. You can't blame anyone else.
Yeah.
And everything, like whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And it's not like soccer where it's like, oh, I'm battling against someone else. It's like, no, you're battling against yourself. And I was a triple jumper. And so a jump takes maybe like 30 seconds, and you do 6, but the whole event after everyone goes, it's like 2 hours. And so you're spending more time thinking about your jumps than you are actually jumping. And so that mental piece of it was something that I feel like I learned so much about myself from track that I still use those lessons like playing soccer now.
I assume you did track in high school, or no?
Yes, I did.
All right, same event? All right. Now, track meets in high school. I know, especially where you from, and probably where you from too. It's almost all day, but it's so, like, it's so fun in terms of, like, just watching people do their own events. And like, I mean, I remember going to a track meet and I'm watching people talk shit as they're running. Like, come here. Like, as they're running, it's like, or they say, move, move. You know, but like track meets are like lit, especially when it's like competitive. Like if it's booty, then like it's not that fun. But you got a lot of fast people and people like setting records. Is like it gets intense. You know, so on the track side, because I've only been to the Vandy track meets, and it was we're not going to talk about that. But you know, what other places in terms of like track, like where it's like it's an event, like this is it, you know, like it's lit.
Yeah,
like you got the boys, the girls, like everything, you know, it's crazy.
I would say, of course, nationals. First of all, Oregon's track. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah, that's what they do.
Like
oh man, yeah.
And it's like, well, like track in the U.S. is like top in the world. So you have like college folks like out here running crazy times, and like the crowd is always so into it and just like so hype. And so I would say easily nationals, SECs, folks would be like. It'd be lit. SECs was lit. Yeah. And then of course like the Olympic trials, like that was like unreal experience of just like competing with and seeing like
Best of the
athletes.
best.
I had grown up with like posters of them on my wall, and now I'm like, yo, Allison Felix, like she's right there. Like I can touch her. Like, yeah.
Dang, you got to see Allison Felix.
I probably passed out.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
You can see all those people. So I always wonder, like, do you guys like in soccer? Do y'all like talk trash in soccer? Cause like basketball, you talk trash. Football, definitely talking trash. Baseball,
I talk shit in baseball.
But you gotta
You gotta
find
grow
your
up in that
moment.
environment.
Yeah, you gotta find your moment. It's like maybe you get on second base in a short stop at second base and they talking trash. You just whisper like under your ears, under your helmet or whatnot, and you say something. But it's like it's not that prevalent in baseball. But like in soccer, because y'all so close to each other the whole time, pretty much running up and down. Is there opportunities to talk trash, or is it a thing in general to talk trash?
I mean, it depends on the player. I feel like in my experience, there hasn't been much trash talking for real. I feel like sometimes folks try to talk trash. And so if they do like start talking trash at me, then I'll talk back.
Okay.
But if like, for the most part, I mind my business because I'm here to do my own job. Like I'm not here for you. I'm here for me.
We hear the word.
Yeah.
So it has to be like provoked. Like,
If you're gonna like
really
come
provoke.
for me, then like I'm not just gonna like sit idly by. Like,
Yeah. I think would it be something like a cheap shot type thing? 'Cause I don't know the rules that well, but I know I can tell. I can look in like, hey, that don't look right. Like they slide a different way and they trip you on purpose, something like that. You know. So if someone says like a cheap shot, you know,
do I cheap shot people?
No, I'm saying like if they do that to you or like to your teammate, you know, and it's like now you starting something, you know, like it gets rowdy after that or no?
I mean, if someone like cheap shots you or cheap shots your teammate, I feel like the whole team like gets upset about it.
It's on.
Yeah, because it's like why? I feel like especially at the pro level, like you know what you're doing. If you're trying to hurt someone, like we all know you did that on purpose. You're like you're too good to like accidentally like 2-foot someone. So like I feel like if anyone gets cheap shotted, like everyone on the team is like, what's going on? Like what you trying to do?
What was the dopest place to play in the SEC? Like for us, some of the spots were like me, my freshman year personally, Mississippi State. Like we went to Mississippi State my freshman year. It was so loud, the ground was literally shaking. Like I'm on deck, I'm in the on deck circle, and I'm like, I feel like my body is shaking. I'm like, I'm tripping, right? And I just try to calm down. But it was literally so loud, the ground was literally shaking. Like, what was some of those spots you like to play in the SEC?
That's a good question.
Or in the fans too. Were the fans ever crazy or talk crazy to you?
Well, speaking of talking crazy, the team that talked the most trash that I've ever experienced in my life was in college playing Florida. To this day, I can't stand Florida.
That's fair.
Because their whole team talked so much trash, would like play dirty sometimes, in my opinion. Would play like dirty sometimes. They would like line up on the side and be like yelling at you and stuff like that. So that game, Florida was always like personal. But I would say like as far as like hype, just like cool environment, South Carolina was pretty cool playing at.
Yeah.
Because they would always have like a really good crowd. I would say them. Of course, playing Tennessee. Because like
it's
we
Tennessee.
Hate them.
Was UT good in soccer all 5 years that you were at Vandy?
They were pretty good. I think this past year, I think they. Actually, I'm not sure, but but they were normally pretty good, but we were able to beat them. So I was excited about that. Had to sneak that in. So I definitely got to add my girls at Vandy in there because Darren's just like turned the program around, and you know they've been winning SEC championships.
That's fair.
Consistently like making it to NCAA tournament. Almost made the Sweet 16, I believe. And so like they've been crushing it, and so definitely their program on the rise. So they're in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Shout out to Vandy.
Shout out to Vandy women's soccer, man. Yeah. So how does when is the draft? How does the draft work? You know, is it the same as football, basketball, baseball? Like, how does that, you know, do they do like a prospect list or a mock draft? Like, how does it work on the soccer side of things?
I think so. You register for the draft like after the season is over. There are like prospect lists and all the like things that, you know, projections of like who's going to be first and all this things like that. But the actual draft itself isn't until January, like early to mid-January. There's 4 rounds, and we have 12 teams now in the league. So,
okay, that makes sense.
Talk about your pro experience since you've been a professional soccer player. How has that been?
Yeah, it's been first a blessing because like this has literally been my dream since I was a kid. So
did you cry when you first got drafted?
So I didn't get drafted.
Okay.
A free agent deal type of thing?
No, so that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, okay.
You want to hear the story too?
Go ahead, let me know. You knocked the door down again?
Basically.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't get drafted. I remember watching the draft though in class, not hearing my name called.
Damn.
And then got a call from Darren, the soccer coach, like 3 or so days later, and was just like, "Hey, the Portland coach is interested in you. He's about to call you. Like, don't mess it up." So he just like called me, and basically I had just picked up everything, moved to Portland, and they were just like, "You could try out for the team, but we can't guarantee you anything." And so like our preseason was tryouts. Tried out, didn't make it my first time, and so I was living with a host family, working odd jobs. I did like front desk LA Fitness, was like training folks, tutoring, all the things. Trained with them for a year and then came back the following year, tried out again, and then that's when I like signed my first pro contract.
Come on now, look at God. Come on, you see the hoodie, just
Right?
God. Come on now.
Amen.
That's we got you good stories, man.
You went through some adversity, like that's real, like extremely proud of you.
So you in Portland with a host family the whole time. We were talking a little bit out caring about your Portland experience, you know, but now you in LA with it, and so kind of give us culture differences between not the city, but the culture differences in terms of the organization, the team, how things are ran, or similarities, you know, like kind of like the playing for the Yankees, playing for the Red Sox, 2 different organizations.
Yeah.
One is bearded, one is clean shaven. You know, like it's one is stricter, more structured, other one's more loose. You know, so it was on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like they're different and similar. I would say the main difference is Portland has like been around since like the inception of the league, has consistently been like one of the top teams in the league. And so like they're essentially a well-oiled machine. Whereas Angel City was an expansion team. So last year was the first year that the team existed. And so with that, it's like all the like for us, it was everyone's first time playing together, the staff, everyone's first time working together. And just like with that comes a lot of hiccups along the way. And so I think just like both on and off the field, the process was smoother in Portland just because it's been around a lot longer. But I would say like the game day experience and like the investment in women's soccer was similar, which I appreciated. Like Portland, similar to like I was saying with Angel City, like did a lot when it comes to like marketing, trying to put the Thorns on the map. And like they would, before Angel City was like consistently with the highest attendance, having like almost 20,000 at games and like packing it out and stuff like that. And so like Angel City similarly has done the same thing, where they're all about like investing in women and putting like marketing us and all of that. And for that reason, like I said, it's like packed on the weekends. And so I feel like that part has been cool of like being a part of like two organizations that have really done their part in like trying to put women's sports on the map.
Yeah. We would be remiss if we don't talk about you, just the life in LA itself. Like, what's life like in LA? The celebrities, Lakers game, you going to Clippers games. Like, who have you seen? Like, dang, who is? I see you. Like, I see you on the movie screen. Like, who have you seen? Like, celebrity wise, while you've been in LA?
Yeah.
Like, I know you've seen more than. You got a bunch, you know. So who have you run into?
Who have I run into?
Yeah.
Well, I would say one cool thing about our like soccer club is like we have a lot of celebrity owners, and so we have a lot of them at our games. So it's like Gabrielle Union,
Dwayne Wade,
Alexis Ohanian, Serena Williams' husband.
Oh, okay.
Because they're owners of our team. Yara Shahidi, Tyra Banks, Janelle Monáe.
Keep going.
It's just folks just be out there.
Yeah.
So no, it's been, that part's been like cool. Just like so many folks that like I've seen on TV or like look up to you. It's like you're in the game and you look to the side and it's like, yo, they're here. Like that's crazy.
Have you ever got starstruck by anybody?
But you kept it inside.
We kept it inside. That's a good question.
Are you just cool like that?
No, calm down. No. I feel like I got to meet Serena Williams like on a FaceTime, and I like was panicking on the inside, but on the outside I was like, "Oh hi!" Even like on the inside, I was like, "Yo,
you got to meet Serena on a FaceTime. How did that happen? Her husband?
Yeah, so he's like one of our main owners, Alexis, and he's like fantastic. Comes to like pretty much all our games, and it's just like really a part of our organization. And so when I went to the championship game, he was there with Olympia and just like hanging out and stuff. And I think Serena just like called while he was there, and I was just like, "Oh hi."
You gotta talk to the GOAT.
Talk about what, you know, Serena, she played tennis, but talk about what she meant for women's sports, but especially for black women and black girls growing up. What does she mean to you?
You can't even put that into words.
I
to
saw
be
you at her
honest.
last match. Really, her last match?
Yeah, because you gotta pay homage to the GOAT.
Yeah, you have to. I was say I wanted to see her. She's one of the people I wanted to see. I want to see like all the GOATs before they retire.
Right.
Like I want to see. Say what you want to say, but I want to see Floyd before he retired from boxing. I want to see Serena. You know, I want to see Tiger play. I want to see Tom Brady play. Like, you just want to witness greatness. Like, even if they lose or don't do well, it's like they still the GOAT. You know, so like you keep going about that.
No, 100%. That's why I was like, I don't care what's going on. I have to go to the Open.
Yeah.
Because like what she's done, not just like in the sport of tennis, but I feel like her, like what she's done has transcended tennis. Like she's up there, easily one of like the best athletes, like on Mount Rushmore.
No, she
all
top
time.
She top three. She's in my top three. Period. No matter what
like,
sport.
Exactly. You can't even argue with that. And I feel like for her, especially being a female athlete, you don't hear that. And I think being a black woman on top of that, you don't hear that. And so I think just like her being able to not just put tennis but like female athletes on the map and like for like show that like we should be taken seriously and we can be the GOAT. You know, and just like her legacy has just been like inspiring me to just be the best that I can be, because she is like done everything. Like she's iconic.
So she's a Nike athlete. You're a Nike athlete. How did that come about? Because that's a big deal. Okay, like that's a huge deal for you to be a Nike athlete. You know, like how did that come about? And like talk to us about that.
Yeah. A grace of God once
Of
again.
course. Just God. That's the message for today.
Right.
Yeah.
Hashtag grace of God. No, so that opportunity came after my second full year in Portland. So, well, third year if you include my like training year. But yeah, I just like had a really good preseason, and after just like that preseason, my agent had like reached out to Nike, reached out to Adidas, and was just like, hey, like,
Yeah.
just started that conversation, and Nike came through with a deal that I was excited about, and was like, yeah, we'd like to like help sponsor your future and all of that. And so that's kind of like how the partnership started up.
Yeah.
And now it's been 3 years being a Nike athlete, and it's been a dream.
Of
I
course.
love it. It's like
Nike,
something I dream about since I was a kid.
Nike.
So like
That's
I was
lit.
like so excited.
What are those conversations like? Like, say what you can about that. Like, you going back and forth, either the agent, you know, with Nike. Like, how do those? I guess what is like some of the things that are said in those conversations that you can give to the audience, you know, about those type of deals?
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing is you have to value yourself and bet on yourself, because I think it's in like organizations like best interest to devalue you because it saves them money, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so like you have to come and be like, no, this is what I'm worth, and like no, I will walk away from that if you don't agree. And like I think having but
It's real though. It's real.
or you have to like even just like have the audacity to even like approach them. Like I think, like I said, after my second year in Portland, and just like my agent just like having the gall to be like, hey Nike, like this is my athlete, like that. I feel like is you value, or well in that case my agent, but like valuing you enough to be like, no, I think I'm good enough to be like sponsored by Nike, and even just like start that conversation, and then having the audacity to like continue that conversation when they come back with like, okay, this is what we're gonna like give you, and you being like, no, this is what I think I should be given. And so like I think also realizing like that you're in those conversations, they're not just like paying for who you are, but paying for who you're going to be.
Yeah.
And so like, what are your dreams and goals? And like understand that that's in the conversation too.
Before we end it, you talk about having value in yourself, and like you're an All-American in track and field, and you're all SEC in soccer, and now you're a professional soccer player, Nike athlete. Mentally, when did you started to get that dog in yourself? And talk about how do you maintain that dog and continue to build off that from a mental perspective and a physical perspective?
Ooh. Well, that's a great question. Well, I think from the physical perspective, it's a lot of just discipline and a lot of training. And I feel like you have to work hard to make it look easy. And I think
say that again.
That's
Make it hard to make it easy. Come on now.
but I think that's like the biggest thing that I've learned is like when you see someone like crushing it on the field, like they didn't wake up and just roll out of bed and crush it on the field. They did so many reps, and that's why they're doing so well. And I think I had to learn that, like I said, when in high school when I wasn't getting recruited, and I was like, okay, well now I got to stay out and do all this extra training, build my confidence. Or my first year in Portland when I didn't make the team and I'd have to stay after practice every day to work on my technique. And so I think for me, the physical side is just like from discipline. And I feel like the mental side for me, I would say it's like, I feel like a lot of it comes from just like loving the game, but I also feel like you have to be purposeful with like your mindset, like having that dog in you and stuff. Like that doesn't just like show up on game day. It's about how you are in training. And like for me, I meet with like a sports psychologist who like helps me stay focused and helps me like like we talked about, like playing free and stuff
Yeah.
like that, helping me to like be loose. Because sometimes, you know, when you're too focused, too stressed, you overthink
pressing,
rep,
yeah.
you
You're
press,
pressing, yeah.
and you're not yourself when you're pressed. And so I think a lot of it is just like letting go.
Let go
yeah.
and let who? Let God.
Let God.
Come on now. Come on now.
Amen.
Yeah. You've been preaching this whole time. Last thing, USA Soccer. So, is that in the midst of something that you want to do? Like how does that work? Like tryouts, like expound on that. For us.
Yeah, so how it works is you essentially, depending on how you play in the season, you get called into what they call a camp, which is
Okay.
just like training, and then you play games and stuff like that. And then if you keep playing well, then you keep getting called in. And I would say that's definitely a goal of mine. But I think for me, I'm in a phase of just trying to enjoy the game and going as far as I can, enjoying the game. And so I think while obviously I'm going to do the best that I can to achieve my goals, at the end of the day, I want to enjoy my career and I want to enjoy playing.
100%.
And so, yeah, I think that's what my focus and my goal is now.
That makes sense.
Stay in the moment, living in the moment.
Yeah.
No, that's real.
And if it happened, it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put in that work. What's on your pregame playlist and kind of like your pregame ritual / routine that you got to do before every game? So you can hit that one first, and then give us what kind of songs get you in that mode.
So I would say for every game I have like stretches and exercises, like activation stuff I have to do. Listen to music, normally like trap music.
Okay, yeah. What trap songs get you in your mood?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, more like I start off with like trap and then I end with like calm music because I
Okay.
feel like I have to like get hype and then I gotta like
Sizzle. Calm.
sizzle. I
Calm
love
a
that.
bit. Yeah.
Sizzle.
Okay.
And then I sometimes do you guys know Headspace?
I heard of that.
Yeah, so it's like a meditation app and
Okay.
it's just about like you literally sit there for like 10 minutes and focus on your breathing and just like being present.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing that a lot before games of just like centering myself and like literally exactly what you said about like living in the moment and just like trying to be present.
I'm not gonna let you escape this. You still ain't get no trap song yet. I need a song with some gangster music that you listen to. Just give me
I
like
love
one or two.
Glorilla.
Glorilla.
I've been listening to all I love Glorilla.
Yeah.
Let's see. I listen to Meek a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Who else do I listen to? 2 Chainz. I love J. Cole.
Yeah.
J. Cole just
J. Cole, he's
his
just,
lyrics,
it's a vibe.
though, it's a vibe.
Yeah,
Different.
it's a vibe.
He preaches.
Yes, 100%.
Like,
Now, Glorilla is crazy. I ain't
Glorilla
think
is
you
wild.
Tough.
Yeah.
She the toughest.
She- right?
She
I ain't gonna lie, she probably give me the
She
mood
hard.
too.
Hey,
Right?
hard.
100%.
listening.
Yeah. That's dope. That's dope. Well, shoot. But this has been great. This has been great. This has been dope. You know, you a lot of bars. Using your pulpit today. Preaching.
I'm done.
Using
You
the
said
pulpit,
pulpit
preaching.
today. I'm done.
Gave a lot of game, entertaining as well. And so I thoroughly enjoyed this. And thank you for being our first female athlete on the podcast, And so before we end it, Nike athlete, All-American, All-SEC.
Go.
Go. She kicks doors down to get where she want to go. Okay. And 2-sport athlete, Simone Charley, I appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me,
coming on.
guys.
Yeah. And we
Like,
out.
follow us on all platforms, 2% Pod, all that.
2%. Like, comment, subscribe. Instagram's the 2% with 2 T's. And like it. I'm going to say it again. Like it and subscribe. I know you out there. That person who's like me would just look at the video and not subscribe. Okay, I'm talking to you. Okay, and yeah, peace out.
Deuces.
Awesome.
Deuces. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Good to go. Good to go.
No, that was great. That was
fun.
so fun.
That was fun.